When you mention tree farming to some people, they answer they haven't attempted it because they don't know anything about it or where to start. Well, that was Julian Watson of Holmes County in the mid-1980s. He's the same Julian Watson who was eventually named in 2009 as Mississippi's Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year. Farmweek was there when he began to plant pines on his family's land. Watson said he learned tree farming by seeking out competent advice from public agencies and private forestry consultants.
I think it's my only alternative. I think whether I can save it for and manage it myself, which is my plan now, or to potentially sell it, I think a timber company would be much more interested in it.
Julian Watson of Madison may have been brand new to forestry in 1984, but he's a tree farmer's tree farmer now. It's hard to believe today, but this land south of Lexington, Mississippi was like the agricultural economy then, in bad shape. Watson and his mother took the land out of pasture and began leasing it to soybean farmers in the mid-1970s. The price of soybeans was high, so rents were good. Then came the farm economy crash of the mid-1980s. Crop prices dropped and so did land lease payments, especially if it was low fertility soil. The last year the land was planted, the soybeans were never harvested. The hilly land eroded terribly.
As the natural resources told me, if I didn't do anything, it was going to be washed so badly that I couldn't, it wouldn't be usable. And it was getting washes nearly chest high in some areas. And it was pointed out that I was losing 30 to 50 tons of topsoil, and now we're losing virtually no topsoil and got a beautiful stand and outstanding wildlife.
This is the same field once ridden with erosion, now looking beautiful, almost park-like. Watson says he sought out forestry expertise from the Mississippi State University Extension Service, the Mississippi Forestry Commission, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. If there was a forestry field day, he was there.
When I started, I knew absolutely nothing, but what was good, I knew I didn't know anything. So my mentor was Dr. Terry Ozier, who was the National Tree Farmer of the Year. I went to his field days in Rankin County. I went to every short course. My first short course was under my good friend that's gone now, Paul Dillard, and they were two of my main mentors starting, plus every government program, every consultant I could find to learn everything I could.
Watson studied what government forestry incentives might suit his land, such as the Conservation Reserve Program. The late Paul Dillard says the cost of government programs that promote forestry are paid back many times by the economic activity tree farming creates.
I think it's a great success story for conservation, for your tax dollars at work. Out here, you're going to find that he's going to return far more money to the federal treasury when he pays his capital gain tax and so forth, and you've got a logging crew here today that are earning an income and so forth, and for really a fairly meager government investment out here.
Rusty Williamson, Holmes County forester with the Mississippi Forestry Commission, nominated Watson for the honor.
Well, not only do we need to recognize him for what he's done on this piece of property, but we also need to recognize him for what he can do for our Mississippi Tree Farm program. As far as the leadership in all of the county forestry associations, Mississippi Forestry Association executive committees, he founded the Holmes County Forestry Association, which is thriving today.
He has been instrumental. Not only did he help found the Holmes County Forestry Association, but as somebody alluded to, his enthusiasm is contagious, and it has been throughout the county association. He's encouraged people. He's brought them out to show them on his property what he has done with the burning, with the thinning, with everything that goes on.
Watson is actually a member of 6 county forestry associations. He served as president of the Holmes and Hines associations.
He is exactly what a tree farmer of the year should be. He's out here implementing, doing, educating people, forming the forestry association here. He's very active in the forestry community, and that goes a long way with me.
Past Extension Service forester Tim Troggett says Watson not only seeks out forestry advice, he has a forestry management plan, and he sticks to it.
The key to Julian is that he will implement it.
he actually puts it to use, or puts it into effect on his tree farm so he can benefit from it.
Watson thins his 1,000 acres at the proper time. It is controlled burned and forestry herbicides are used. This has developed excellent wildlife food sources and habitat, resulting in income from hunting leases. While he follows his forestry management plan to the letter, he's not afraid to change it when market conditions dictate. Watson and his mother have sold so-called carbon credits. Companies that emit carbon dioxide, like electric utilities, are willing to pay forestry landowners to store CO2 in their trees. Not all timberland is suitable, but some of the Watsons did qualify for the carbon credits program. Hurricane Katrina also changed Watson's harvest plans. It destroyed many trees in South Mississippi, including those suitable to be poles. Watson says some of his trees should eventually be pole material, so he'll watch that market, and he hopes it will work in his favor.
He knows how many acres he has and when it was cut and when it was planted, he knows the density on the thinning, how many trees we left per acre.
Dismukes and the Vaden Timber Company have thinned Watson's trees and advised him on management. Watson's land is producing as much timber as the land can support. Since the first thinning about 1989, Watson's land has hosted a 1/10 of an acre test plot. Each year after Labor Day, Watson meets with the MSU Extension Service to measure the plot's growth. It's helped to determine when thinning should take place. Watson's intensive management style may not suit everyone, but most landowners can step up their timber income by getting free advice from government agencies or employing a forestry consultant.
Many forest landowners, they still have the impression that it just takes too long to grow trees. Well, you look at Julian, he's a relatively young man. And when he started where we're standing right now, this was a soybean field. And look at the timber on it today. And he'll end up harvesting this timber and replanting it again. And knowing Julian, he'll probably end up harvesting that too. It was a full-blown plantation with a store, grist mill.
The Franklin Presbyterian Church on the Watson property is symbolic of Watson's true motivation for taking care of the family land. His great-grandfather and great-grandmother came from Virginia to settle the area. The church building is actually the second one on the site. Watson is its caretaker, which at present includes a new coat of paint. It was a hospital during the Civil War, and the repaired cannonball holes are still easily seen in its walls.
My great-granddaddy gave this land for the church, and then a gentleman that was an elder in this church turned it over to me about 10 years ago, and we have about 100 people all over the United States that have family buried out here that help me keep it up, and we have one service a year the week after Easter.
While his ancestors were more familiar with clearing trees than growing them, Watson says making the family land into a tree farm was the right decision.
I put it in trees in 1985, and my family thought I was crazy, and I farm it without any equipment using vendors, and it's the best decision I ever made.
Well, go to our Farmweek website if you'd like to see this story again. That's farmweek.msucares.com. If you're interested in managing your land for timber and wildlife, you can get in touch with the Mississippi State University Extension Service or the Mississippi Forestry Commission. The Natural Resource Conservation Service of the U.S. Department of Agriculture is another good place to start. We'll have their contact information on our Farmweek website. Now, Leighton, of course, that story aired some time ago originally. Unfortunately, Paul Dillard has passed away. In that meantime, and Britton Hatcher is now working for Farm Bureau, Mississippi Farm Bureau. But, you know, you can have a small acreage. You know, we've heard of even 20 to 25 acres that can grow some fantastic amounts of timber. So just get started somewhere.